Most people don't know this, but a raccoon's mask isn't decoration. Underneath those dark rings of fur is one of the most efficient pieces of natural engineering on the planet. Fur that absorbs glare, sharpens night vision, and helps them see the world clearly in almost total darkness. The mask isn't hiding anything. It's helping the raccoon see the world more clearly. Humans wear masks too, we just don't admit it. Not the kind you buy in a costume shop, the kind you put on every morning without thinking about it. The version of you at work, calm and competent, even on a day you cried in the car beforehand. The version of you at a family dinner, agreeing with an opinion you don't actually hold because keeping the peace feels easier than being honest. The version of you online, curated, filtered, captioned just right, standing in for the version of you that's actually a little tired and a little unsure. Sociologist Erving Goffman had a phrase for this back in the 1950s. He called life a kind of theater. We have a front stage where we perform for an audience, and a backstage where the performance drops and we're simply ourselves. The unsettling part of his research wasn't that people perform, it's that almost nobody, including the performer, can always tell where the stage ends and the real self begins. Here's where it gets interesting. Unlike the raccoon, our mask doesn't help us see the world better. It often does the opposite. It helps the world see us in a way we've decided is safer to show. Think about the first day at a new job. You're not lying exactly, but you're choosing to look more confident than you feel, choosing to laugh slightly louder at the joke from someone important, choosing which parts of your personality are appropriate to bring into the room and quietly leaving the rest at the door. Psychologists call this self-monitoring, and almost everyone does it in every culture, in every language. It isn't dishonesty, it's survival. Humans are social animals, and for most of our history, being accepted by the group was the difference between living and not. But here's the cost nobody talks about enough. Masks are heavy. Not physically, psychologically. There's a concept called emotional labor, originally used to describe flight attendants and customer service workers who are required to smile no matter what they're feeling inside. Researchers found something striking. The more often someone performs an emotion they don't actually feel, the more exhausted and disconnected from themselves they tend to become. The mask doesn't just hide the real face. Over time, it can make you forget what your real face even looks like. Now add social media to that equation, and the mask becomes permanent, public, and strangely competitive. We're not just managing how we appear in a room anymore. Or managing how we appear to hundreds, sometimes thousands of people, all at once, all the time. The vacation photo doesn't show the argument that happened 5 minutes before it was taken. The "we're so happy" caption doesn't show the version of that relationship that exists at 2 in the morning. Researchers studying social comparison have found something almost cruel about this. We compare our backstage, our real, messy, unfiltered selves, to everyone else's front stage, the version they've already polished and posted. Of course we feel like we're failing. We're comparing a rehearsal to a highlight reel. There's a term for what happens when the mask and the real self drift too far apart: impostor syndrome. That quiet, nagging feeling that you don't actually deserve your job, your relationship, your success. That any moment now, someone is going to see behind the mask and realize you were never as put together as you seemed. Studies suggest the majority of people experience this at some point, which means almost everyone is secretly afraid of being found out as the same ordinary, uncertain human being that everyone else secretly is too. The mask convinces us we're the only one wearing one. So is the mask the villain here? Not exactly. Masks exist for a reason, and some of those reasons are good ones. A surgeon who stays calm-faced during an emergency, even while internally terrified, is using a mask to keep a patient alive. A parent who hides their own fear to comfort a frightened child is doing something quietly heroic with their performance. The mask becomes a problem not when we wear it, but when we forget we're wearing it, when the performance becomes the only self we know how to be. Psychologist Carl Jung had a word for the mask too. He borrowed it from ancient Greek theater, persona, literally meaning the mask an actor wears. Jung believed the goal of a healthy life wasn't to destroy the persona completely. It was to know the difference between the mask and the face underneath, and to make sure every once in a while you take it off. Which brings us back to the raccoon. Its mask isn't a disguise from the world, it's a tool that helps it perceive the world more honestly, in the dark when it matters most. Maybe that's the real difference between a healthy mask and an unhealthy one. A good mask helps you function in a world that isn't always safe for your full self. A dangerous mask convinces you that the world should never see your full self at all. The real face is still there. It always is. The question worth asking tonight isn't whether you wear a mask. Everyone does. It's simply this: do you still remember, underneath it, what your own face looks like? If this kind of question stayed with you, that's usually a sign it's worth sitting with a little longer. See you in the next one.